Gave them the power. You gave them the power without even realizing it. One message can ruin your morning. One person's silence can make you question your worth. Insult can stay in your head for days. One person's opinion can completely change how you feel about yourself. And the worst part? They may have already forgotten what they said. But you're still carrying it. You're replaying the conversation, thinking about what you should have said, imagining what you could have done differently, wondering why they treated you that way. And while they're living their life, allowing them to live inside your mind. This is how people lose their mind. This is how people lose their peace. Not because life is always difficult, but because they allow everything outside of themselves to enter their inner world. So they become angry. Someone is disrespectful, so they lose their composure. So they start overthinking. Someone criticizes them, so they begin questioning themselves. And slowly, without noticing it, they hand over control. The Stoics saw this differently. They understood that you cannot control what people say. You cannot control how they behave. You cannot control whether they respect you. You cannot control whether they understand you. You cannot control whether they understand you. But you can control what happens inside you afterward. And that is where your freedom begins. Because the moment you stop allowing other people's behavior to dictate your inner state, you take your power back. Today, we're going to explore 10 Stoic principles that will help you protect your peace without becoming cold, bitter, or disconnected from the world. The first one is the foundation for everything that follows. Think about how valuable your attention really is. You wake up with a limited amount of energy, a limited amount of focus, a limited amount of time. And yet, you can spend an entire day thinking about one person, someone who insulted you, someone who ignored you, someone who rejected you, someone who rejected you, someone who disappointed you, someone who said something you didn't like. They took 5 seconds of your life, and you gave them 5 hours of your mind. That's an expensive trade, and most people don't realize they're making it. They think they're simply thinking, but attention is not free. Every thought consumes something: your energy, your focus, your emotional capacity. And when you repeatedly give those things to people who don't deserve them, you have less left for the people and goals that actually matter. Marcus Aurelius understood this. He repeatedly brought himself back to the present, not because the past didn't matter, but because the present was the only place where he could actually act. The same principle applies to you. Ask yourself, is this person worth the amount of mental space I'm giving them? Maybe they are. Maybe they aren't. Don't give someone unlimited access simply because they once hurt you. Your peace is valuable. Treat it that way. Someone doesn't like you. Someone criticizes you. Someone misunderstands you. Someone thinks you're not good enough at, immediately your mind says, what does this mean about me? But that's the wrong question. Instead ask, what does this opinion actually represent? Because every opinion comes from somewhere. People judge through their experiences, their fears, their insecurities, their expectations, their values, their mood, their limited understanding of you. Two people can look at the exact same person and form completely different opinions. So which opinion is the truther? That's why you cannot build your identity entirely on other people's reactions. Epictetus emphasized that our judgments about events shape our experience of them. Someone can say, "You're cure, a failure." Those are words. The suffering begins when your mind decides they're right. That's the part you control. Don't have to accept every judgment someone gives you. Listen when criticism contains something useful. I say it when it doesn't. Don't turn every opinion into a verdict about your identity. You are not required to attend every trial where someone puts your character on the stand. Sometimes the strongest response is simply, that is their opinion. And then you continue living. Modern life trains you to react. A notification appears. Check it. Someone comments. You answer. Someone provokes you. You defend yourself. Someone misunderstands you. You explain. Someone insults you. You retaliate. Everything becomes immediate. But strength often begins with a pause. The Stoics understood the distance between an event and your response. Something happens, and you choose. That space is where your power lives. Now, imagine someone saying something deliberately offensive. Your first instinct might be anger. You want to respond immediately, but pause a sec. What happens if I react? Maybe you win the argument. Maybe they become even more aggressive. Maybe the situation gets worse. Maybe you spend the next 3 hours thinking about it. Now ask, what happens if I remain calm? You preserve your energy. You maintain control. You choose your response instead of surrendering it. This doesn't mean you tolerate everything. It means you respond strategically. Sometimes you speak. Sometimes you set a boundary. Sometimes you leave. And sometimes you say nothing. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is weakness only when you're afraid to speak, when you choose silence because you refuse to be dragged into chaos. That's control. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt someone else's anger? Someone is irritated. They speak harshly. They slam something down. They give you an attitude. And suddenly your mood changes. You weren't angry 5 minutes ago. Now you are. Why? Because you absorbed someone else's emotional state. But emotions can spread without permission. And you don't have to accept every emotion that enters the room. Imagine standing beside someone holding a burning piece of coal. Piece of coal. They throw it toward you. You don't have to catch it. Their anger is theirs. Their insecurity is theirs. Their frustration is theirs. Their bitterness is theirs. You can acknowledge it without absorbing it. This is one of the most powerful forms of emotional discipline. You can say, I see that you're angry without becoming angry. You can recognize they're trying to provoke me. They're trying becoming provoked. You can understand they're having a bad day without allowing their bad day to become yours. Next time someone brings chaos into your environment, don't automatically carry it Don't automatically carry it home with you. Leave their emotions where they belong, with them. And of the most exhausting things you can do is constantly explain yourself, why you made that decision, why you left, why you changed, why you said no, why you didn't answer, why you chose a different path. You explain. They misunderstand, so you explain again. They still misunderstand, so you become frustrated. But here's a difficult truth. But here's a difficult. Some people are not trying to understand you. They're trying to confirm what they already believe about you. No explanation will change that. And even if someone misunderstands you, you can survive it. You don't need universal approval. Don't need everyone to know your intentions. You don't need every person to have the correct version of you in their head. Marcus Aurelius lived with criticism, political pressure, enemies, and people who disagreed with him. He couldn't control their opinions, but he could control his character. That's the distinction. Don't spend your life managing your reputation. In the minds of people who are determined to misunderstand you, live in a way that you can respect. People think what they want. Your job is not to control their interpretation of you. Your job is to control who you actually are. Someone treats you badly. Immediately your ego asks, why don't they respect me? But consider another possibility. Maybe their behavior tells you more about their character than yours. A dishonest person lies. A cruel person hurts. An insecure person projects. A manipulative person controls. A disrespectful person disrespects. Behavior is information. View it. Don't turn it into an identity crisis. If someone insults you, you don't have to insult yourself afterward by believing them. If someone rejects you, you don't have to reject yourself. If someone leaves you, you don't have to abandon yourself. That's the difference between experiencing pain and becoming defined by pain. The Stoic doesn't say, nobody can hurt me. That's unrealistic. The Stoic says, I will decide what their actions mean for the person I become. That's strength. Someone can hurt you, but they don't automatically get to define you. This is subtle. Distance yourself from someone. Then you secretly wait for them to notice. You stop messaging. You tick whether, but you check they message. You stop posting for attention. You check who viewed your profile. You walk away, but part of you hopes they come looking for you. You say you're moving on, while secretly measuring whether they miss you. That's not detachment. That's another form of attachment. You're still waiting for a reaction, or still allowing their behavior to determine how successful your decision feels. But your decisions shouldn't need an audience. If you leave something unhealthy, leave because it is unhealthy. Not because you want someone to chase you. If you stop contacting someone, do it because you chose peace. Not because you're waiting for them to realize your value. The moment you stop checking whether they noticed, you become free from the scoreboard. Don't need to know whether they regret losing you. You need to know whether you regret losing yourself. Because it does. Life is built from what you repeatedly pay attention to. If you spend your attention on anger, anger grows. If you spend it on comparison, comparison grows. If you spend it on resentment, resentment grows. If you spend it on your goals become clearer. Attention is like sunlight. Whatever you repeatedly expose to it begins to grow. So, ask yourself, what have I been feeding? The person who hurt me? The argument I lost? The insult I can't forget? The life someone else is living? The approval I still want? Or the person I'm trying to become? You cannot control every thought that enters your mind, but you can decide which thoughts deserve to stay. A thought appears, you notice it. Then, you choose whether to continue feeding it. That's mental discipline. The more you practice it, the less your mind becomes a playground for everyone who knows how to provoke you. If your self-respect depends on other people's reactions, you will always be unstable. When they praise you, you feel powerful. When they criticize you, feel worthless. When they choose you, you feel valuable. When they reject you, you feel invisible. That is emotional dependence. A Stoic solution is to build an internal standard. Instead of asking, "Do they approve of me?" ask, "Do I approve of the way I am living? Did you keep your word? Did you act with courage? Did you control yourself when anger appeared? Did you treat people fairly? Did you do the work you said you would do? Did you maintain your principles when nobody was watching?" These questions matter because your character is something you can actually work on. External approval is unstable. Character is built, so stop asking the world to tell you who you are. Build yourself so clearly that you don't need constant confirmation. Are situations you cannot fix. People you cannot change. Argument you cannot win. Relationships that cannot be repaired. Conversations that will never become productive. And sometimes the wisest action isn't another attempt. It's leaving. Walking away doesn't mean you lost. It means you recognized that continuing was costing more than it was worth. The Stoics understood the value of directing energy toward what could actually be influenced. You don't have to stay in every argument. You don't have to answer every accusation. You don't have to maintain every relationship. Don't have to prove your strength by tolerating endless chaos. Sometimes strength looks like, "This is no longer healthy for me, so I'm leaving." No dramatic announcement, no revenge, no long explanation. Just a decision, and then you live by it. This is the final goal. Not becoming emotionless. Not becoming cold, not becoming detached from everyone. The goal is becoming stable. You can feel anger without becoming anger. You can feel sadness without letting sadness control every decision. You can experience rejection without destroying your self-worth. You can hear criticism without immediately defending yourself. You can experience disrespect without becoming disrespectful. You can lose someone without losing yourself. That is emotional strength. Think about a deep ocean. At the surface, waves can become violent, but deep below the surface, the water remains relatively still. Be like that. Life can become chaotic on the surface. People can argue, plans can fail, relationships can change, money can disappear, opportunities can close. People can disappoint you. But beneath all of that, build something stable. Your values, your discipline, your character, your ability to choose. That is your inner foundation. So what do you do when someone disturbs your peace? Remember these 5 questions. First, is this within my control? If not, release the illusion that you can control it. Second, what exactly am I feeling? Name it. Anger, fear, jealousy, sadness, embarrassment. Once you identify the emotion, you create distance from it. Third, what story am I telling myself about what happened? Because the event and your interpretation are not always the same thing. Fourth, what response would make me respect myself tomorrow? Not what feels satisfying right now. What would you respect tomorrow? Fifth, does this deserve more of my attention? If the answer is no, Stop feeding it. This 5-question reset can become a daily practice. Some people hear this philosophy and think, so I shouldn't care about anyone. No, that's not Stoicism. You can care deeply. You can love people. You can love people. You can have friendships. You can build relationships. You can be compassionate. You can be generous. But you don't have to make your emotional stability dependent on everyone behaving exactly as you want. That's the stimbras, horrors, care without dependence, love without losing yourself, give without needing applause, help without needing recognition, walk away without hatred. This is emotional freedom. The biggest shift happens when you stop asking, how do I make them behave differently? And start asking, how do I remain myself regardless of how they behave? That's a completely different life. Someone is rude, you remain composed. Someone is kind, you appreciate it. Someone leaves, you grieve, but continue. One stays, you value them. Someone misunderstands you. You don't destroy yourself trying to correct them. Someone criticizes you. Take what is useful and release the rest. Someone praises you. You appreciate it. Not without becoming dependent on it. Now your emotional state is no longer being controlled by the room you're standing in. You carry your own center. Imagine 2 people walking through a city and carries a backpack filled with stones. Every time someone insults him, he puts another stone inside. Someone rejects him. Another stone. Someone ignores him. Other stone. Someone criticizes him. Another stone. Someone betrays him. Another stone. Years pass, and he wonders why life feels so heavy. A second person experiences the same things, but he doesn't carry every stone. He learns, he remembers. He sets boundaries, he walks away, but he refuses to carry what no longer belongs to him. The difference isn't that the second person experienced less pain. He simply learned not every painful thing deserves permanent storage in your mind. And maybe that's what you need to do now. Put some stones down. The conversation you keep replaying. Down the person whose approval you're still chasing. And put it down the insult you've carried for years. Put it down the need to make someone understand you. Let down the hope that someone will finally apologize. Put it down. You don't have to carry everything just because it happened to you. Or peace is not something the world should be allowed to control. People will disappoint you. Let them. People will misunderstand you. Let them. People will criticize you. Listen when it's useful. Isolate when it isn't. People will leave, grieve them, then continue. People will try to provoke you, pause, chew, and choose. People will sometimes treat you unfairly. Set the boundary, protect yourself. But don't become a prisoner of their behavior. Because here's the truth. You cannot control what people bring into your life, but you can control what you carry away from it. You can choose not to carry their anger. You can choose not to carry their opinions. You can choose not to carry their rejection. You can choose not to carry their rejection. You can choose not to carry their expectations. You can choose not to carry their mistakes. And most importantly, you can choose not to carry them into your future. One day, you will realize something. The person who hurt you wasn't controlling your life anymore. The person who rejected you wasn't controlling your confidence anymore. The person who misunderstood you wasn't controlling your identity anymore. Yeah. The person who disrespected you wasn't controlling your emotions anymore. Not because they changed, because you did. You stopped asking them for permission to be at peace. You stopped waiting for an apology. Stopped needing them to underscroll. You stopped needing them to understand. You stopped checking whether they noticed. You stopped replaying the conversation. Stopped trying to win a battle that existed only in your mind. And you finally understood what the Stoics were trying to teach. Your peace is yours. Protect it. Our attention is yours. Protect it. Your mind is yours. Train it. Your response is yours. Choose it carefully. And when someone tries to bring chaos into your inner world, remember, you don't have to open the door. Let them speak. Let them judge. Let them misunderstand. Let them leave. Let them be who they choose to be. And you remain who you choose to be. Because real strength isn't controlling everyone around you. Real strength is being able to stand in the middle of chaos and still remain yourself. Stop giving your peace away. Stop renting your mind to people who don't deserve the space. And from this day forward, protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does.